Regular meeting so far, Jay. With just the two of
Hey,
us.
just you and me. Hey, what's up?
Yep, living the dream. Let's see. If we
Nice.
get a third, we'll have the meeting. If we don't, we'll go all async.
Okay, sounds good.
Give it another 60 seconds. Olivier's got some comments in here, but it's going to feel kind of silly. Oh, okay. We got a third. Great.
Nice.
I'm gonna say if it was just you and I reading each other Olivier's comments, that's not a good meeting. Hey, Amber. So it's the SEC Growth Data Science staff meeting for April 12th. We were just deciding, Amber, if we should have the meeting through async. We said if we have three, we'll do it. If not, we'll go all async.
Glad to be
so,
part of the triumvirate.
Yeah.
So news and events. I've got the item there. So my draft Q2 OKRs. The link is here. If you want to review. One little note is please don't add objectives or results under these without talking to me first, or just ask me to. Add all of your own that you want, but I ended up with a few more than I was expecting in Q1, and I'm not sure in our new OKR feature which one does delete or remove actually delete something or just unlink it from mine. So I think I accidentally deleted somebody else's in Q1. So just add your own as appropriate and let me know if you think it should some or in part roll up under mine. Some of them are about product delivery items, which are not public. But so I don't want to talk about those, but some of the themes, happy to talk about those privately, but not on the live stream. So some of the themes are career growth of team members, including the neurodiversity training. That's the only key result I have under that. That's kind of a lame to have an objective with one key result. So maybe we have some other things underneath there. And also Q2 application health, just some similar trends and some new trends like continued migration of pajamas components for better usability, the V3 upgrade, and then some things are a little different. Identify and start resolving a number of cross-functional challenges in operational excellence. What did that turn into? Don't know, but a cool idea. And also burning down the usability benchmark insights. There was also another one I don't see here for some reason readily. Yeah, it's under the product ones. It's not about feature delivery. Review and improve documentation of secure and govern. So doing a pass through the documentation for secure and govern, the product documentation, and improving it to help to drive DevSecOps adoption. So those are just some of the ones out there. Without talking publicly here in this stream about the product specific delivery ones, which are confidential, any feedback, any ideas on these?
The operational excellence KR that you talked about, which I just can't find right now, was that under application health?
Say again, Phil?
The cross-functional challenges in operational excellence. Are we talking about being more efficient or responding to unplanned work, or do you have any additional ideas on where we're going with this one?
I think it's up to each team. What are the quad for each team? So, development, PM, set, and UX think that is. Like one might be, Phil, the one you and I talked about earlier on the threat insights. When can other teams contribute to code maintained by threat insights? And what does that mean when they do? Like, what are the responsibilities when they do? Like, I think that's a great example of one of maybe we finish the work on that, on changing our procedures on that. I haven't read the MR that you sent me a link to just yet. Of course, we just discussed it 15 minutes ago, but I think it's things along those lines. Perhaps that's in the right, I think, universal things.
Great, got it. Thank you.
I think my general feedback on these OKRs, and by the way, I appreciate you getting them out early because I think that was it's always hard to plan, mid-quarter or whatever. But I feel like sometimes they lack content. And so maybe an example like you just shared would be really helpful in the description. Maybe not like a, hey, this one's for anti-abuse, but just like just an example, just to kind of get people going the right direction.
Great feedback. Sometimes we have examples. Sometimes we don't. It's too early. Sometimes a little bit, I'm not too concerned about this, but sometimes if you provide an example, it sets too much. People think with that mindset, and they may not think at the bigger mindset of other ideas they may have too. But I agree, some of these are so vague. At least one example helps. I think the benefits of having at least one example is better than not. I didn't think that was a good example till Phil just asked the question, and then I thought, something we just discussed 20 minutes ago, that might be in that area. But yeah, really good feedback, Jay. In big rocks and hot issues, Thomas is not here, but Olivier is and has a comment. Olivier, you mind verbalizing Thomas's comment and then your response?
Sure. Just give me a sec to load the right doc. So I'm jumping out from another call. Here it is. So yes, Thomas is mentioning that we have codified language around what is an alpha or a beta feature and what's become general availability. And Thomas is asking if that impacts our thinking on when we announce releases of new software. And indeed, that's that's pretty on top of my mind currently with the problem we're facing with the release and the rollout of the license scanner. Production readiness review apparently is required for a general availability feature. I think that's a bit overwhelming. I think, there is some judgment to use about whether or not to go that process because it's quite heavy. I started that one for the license scanner, and there's a lot of information to provide. I think it makes sense when you're spinning up a new infra, a new service, whatever, that is very impactful to the overall performance of a GitLab instance. Definitely not for just a regular new feature in the Rails monolith, I'd say. But this is not written this way in the doc, so that's interesting. And I don't know how, I haven't heard about that being shared somewhere, so I don't know what the adoption of that general documentation, but that's definitely something to be considered by the development group, I'd say.
I hadn't seen that production readiness addition there. I think we need to look in and see when that was added and get some more context. Because I agree with you, Olivia, this shouldn't apply to every feature that we deploy.
Yeah, and I just pointed to a Slack thread that was shared. It's in the engineering FYI channel. But I think we're working to clarify the difference between alpha, beta, experimental, closed beta. There's all these terms. I know with some of the recent work in the new field, we're using some of the experimental more heavily to help protect ourselves and also reduce the amount of documentation necessary.
What's top of mind for everyone? I think it's a nice open question to ask. I always learn something when I ask this. So for me, it's the AI integration working group, which is across the company, a large portion of the company, which I'm helping, I'm co-facilitating. AI code suggestions open beta, which is something that Mon's team is very diligently working on, separately related, but separate from the integration working group, making progress on Q1 OKRs. I was behind on mine. I'm a little more caught up now, but I'm still behind on mine, and the creating and iterating on Q2 ones. Olivier, how about you?
Top priorities, continuous reliability scans. This is playing to the company goal OKRs and the big analysis that we had previously. So this is very important work. There is a lot of work, complex project, but very exciting one. It's involving many team members, so that's a lot of coordination, and it's also have some overlap with other groups. So collaboration cross group which is interesting too. The new license scanner, still trying to roll that out. We just jumped out from a customer call about a call with the distribution team to figure out how we can roll this out by default for self-managed customer without blowing up their disk size. That's a very interesting topic too. And then OKR season, like you finishing Q1 and looking at Q2s, that's the season for OKRs.
I'll verbalize Alan's. who's not on the call. Alan's top of mind are role-based scan result policies, UX redesign for scan execution policies, and performance improvements.
Yeah, for me, it's the long-winded identity verification, which we should be rolling out the second stage, the telephone stage soon, next week. The abuse reports dashboard, and AI and how it's going to potentially integrate with anti-abuse features. Thinking about that a lot lately.
I think for me right now, we have some tremendously large projects that we're wrapping up, getting those into the production environment. So feedback deprecation has been going on for nearly a year now. I think at the end of the month, it'll be a solid year since development started. And we've also had some smaller projects that are kind of interwoven into that feature. So that's tremendous, a huge success for the team. And then we're also rolling out the interaction with vulnerabilities when you dismiss them. Right now, it's just an option. We're going to extend that so you have more reasons that you've dismissed vulnerability, which is something our customers have asked for a lot. Additionally, we're jumping into roadmap discussions. We have Alana as a new PM on the team. She's jumping right in. It's right at a great moment for everything. New PM, roadmap discussions. So it's like, how do we align the teams? How do we get UX engaged or re-engaged so that we can kind of really have a built confidence for a 6 to 12 month plan, which is kind of a rarity, right? Like we're thinking a lot more short term than this.
For static analysis, what's top of mind for me is we're wrapping up a few of the language conversions to SumGrep, Node.js, Scan, and Scala to be specific. And then in addition to that, we've had a few conversations around the architecture that we'd like to support for secret detection's future path. So we're in the process of evaluating a couple of different approaches and in the benchmarking phase of that. So that's very, very top of mind for me. And then to wrap that up, 16.0 deprecations are around the corner. So making sure we're on track with those and coordinating that appropriately with Threat Insights and other teams as well.
Top of mind for me is supporting teams to deliver across govern, anti-abuse, and growth. We've got some big deliverables coming out, just making sure that teams aren't blocked and helping out where I can. AI, yeah, it's a hot topic at the moment. So looking at how our teams and which teams need to be involved in that. We've got Q2 OKR planning, which Wayne's been through. We're looking at what we need to deliver in Q2 and making sure we've got alignment with our counterparts. A little bit of time spent on SaaS availability. There's the daily stand-up is restarted for that, and one of our teams is involved there. There's a discussion around whether we should have had a feature change lock. And the sort of non-development related one would be the Emerging Talent Program, which is an extension of the internship working group. There are some discussions on that Justin is leading, Justin Smith, on where we're heading with that, and I'm looking forward to being involved there.
Great. Neil, you mentioned some hallway items from last week don't have a response. Do you want to talk through those?
Yeah, sure. So I'll verbalize it's noticeable that this meeting bounces around. I think that's fine, but it also can create some uncertainty and it might diminish the quality of this meeting as well. I don't know what the reasons are. We don't need to discuss that either, but I think keeping this consistent, we have a large audience here. It's just having a consistent time, something we can plan around. If it goes async because some can't make it, that's fine. Or it might actually pivot the discussion. It might change the dynamics if certain individuals aren't in this call. You know, the discussion might be different. So I suggest we keep the schedule consistent, but I'm open.
I try. My schedule's crazy. And like last week we went async because there wasn't much to discuss, but I will try to move it less often. It's mostly the AI working group that's made me.
So more of a question for this group. When Wayne is busy and Wayne can't attend this meeting at the scheduled time, should we go async or should we just go ahead with the meeting?
Or should it be moved to a time I can?
Or should it be moved? And I think we've seen all three cases sort of over the last month or so. So It would be good to
And I'm fine
get
with any of
feedback
those
from the group.
answers. I'm fine with whatever the group prefers on this. What does everybody think?
It depends on the topics. I mean, generally, you're driving conversation, and we might have questions for you. So, I mean, there could be some interesting topic to discuss just together without you. But I think for most of them, I might be wrong, but for most of them, it makes more sense if you're in the meeting.
Well, my suggestion is that we don't make last minute changes, half an hour before the meeting or an hour before the meeting. If earlier in the week we identify there's a clash and we want to move it, then we've got time to have the discussion. We've got time to contribute async and determine what is important and needs to be, that we might need to reschedule for. How does that sound as a first iteration? We don't cancel or schedule the meeting on the day.
I think that's great consideration.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Okay.
And I think the item 2 there is probably a non-public. Okay, inside GitLab, but not public. So let's cover that after we go to a private recording in last week's B. But I definitely want to discuss it. Are those the only 2 that are from last week that we did async on that there were no responses on, which I missed myself? Apologies for that. All right, let me stop the public and we'll start a private.